So everyone, thank you for popping on. We'll give it just a few more minutes before we get started. Thank you so much. We'll give people, I know it's a busy time of year, so we'll give just a couple more minutes and then we'll get started. I know I say this at the end of every year, but I can't believe we're at the end. Oh my goodness. I remember when I was a little kid. Yeah, when I was little, my grandparents would say, "The time will fly, just wait and see." And I think, no, it takes so long just to turn another age or whatever. No, yep. It's going really fast when you get older.
To see you.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi. So we'll give it just like one more minute and then we'll go. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I was kind of
hoping to see you as much as I could.
Did someone say something, Desiree?
I don't mind trying. I just want to see you.
Yeah. Maybe I know Scott Smith. He's our VP of HR. Maybe we can have someone reach out to her. I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah.
I can when we're done here. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started, everybody. Thank you again so much for being on, especially this time of year. We are so grateful you are here. We have a special presentation from our speaker today. So Brenda Reese, I'm going to read you her bio really quick, along with her assistant who's with us. She's a two-time author, keynote speaker, and podcast host. She's sought after for transformation and forgiveness. She guides her cherished clients from being stuck in shame, resentment, and self-sabotage to feeling freer, more expanded, and ready to share themselves and their passion. When she's not providing this guidance to help her clients, clarity of purpose and freedom in their life, you can find her hiking, playing with her grandkids, snuggling with her fur babies, and reading a book or two. So thank you, Brenda. And we also have her executive assistant, Tiffany Smith, who's joining us today and will be providing any assistance with questions or comments. So again, super grateful. And so when our women's ERG group was thinking about what's the next session we're going to do, what should it be about? I'll tell you, honestly, I was thinking about how I've been feeling and talked to some people, and some others in different ways had some similar feelings. And for me, this year has been super challenging, to be honest with everyone. And there were things in my past that created me staying in situations that were not positive, that had some, effects on my life this year, and trying to figure out, how do you let that go? Like the guilt and the shame of maybe yourself, or if you're maybe angry at someone else or feel like they've done something, like how do you let go of that? So when we were researching, we found Brenda. And so that is why Brenda's here today to kind of talk to us all about those different things. No matter where you're at, I'm looking forward to the session. So Brenda, please take it away.
Oh, thank you. Well, welcome to A Changing World Requires an Evolving You. And start time off today. I like to be a little interactive. Excuse me. I would like it if you would share in the chat what your favorite holiday activity is, because I know we're coming from all over, and I always look for good ideas. If you wouldn't mind sharing. Baking. Oh my God, I love baking. Oh, the zoo lights. I like that. Eating. Oh, seeing your dad. That's good. Spending time with family. These are great. We have a lot of cookers here. Cooking and baking. Oh my gosh, I need to come to your house and spending time with family. Thank you so much for sharing. Oh, Christmas music. Yep, decorating. We just did that too. Well, thank you so much. To get us we're gonna start off today. Thank you. You can keep adding to the chat. But to get us started today, I'm going to do a little housekeeping. I'd like to make sure everyone received the worksheet that Cherish sent out with the reminder email. I'm going to be referencing this worksheet as we go through the presentation. And I have some homework for you at the end. It's not too hard. The first page, you'll see the questions, and the second page is for any notes you may have or write down any questions. And I would like to preface that I mainly work with women. So the men on this call, please do not feel left out because what I will share does apply to you also. You will just hear me reference women. And if you have any questions or anything, Tiffany will be watching the chat and she'll be able to write those down for our little Q&A at the end. If you want that to happen, or you can just write it down on your notes and we can talk about it later. So my name is Brenda Reese, and I'm honored to be with you today, sharing about evolving ourselves and also providing a different view on forgiveness. Because as you'll learn, forgiveness is not just about saying I'm sorry. Now, my background is 30 plus years in corporate before having to take medical leave that you'll hear more about. I started the forgiveness training and coaching in 2013 after several surgeries, hence the medical leave. And today I'm a certified radical forgiveness master coach, along with some other credentials. I've been featured on King 5 News, which is the Seattle area, spoke at several women's conferences as a keynote speaker. I've been a guest on over 50 podcasts, wrote 2 books, and started my own podcast last year called Forgive Yourself. So, what is a forgiveness coach? Well, I'm a bit archaeologist because we do a bit of digging to find the treasure within ourselves. I'm an advisor and a mentor because I get to teach you things, yet you have the answers inside you. And studies show we respond 100% better when we feel we have someone in our corner to help bring out the information. And I'm a little bit cheerleader because who doesn't need someone to cheer them on as we go through life's ups and downs? So, how does forgiveness help you in your personal life and career, you ask? I'm so glad you did. Women who work with me say they are feeling blocked or stuck in their life, career, or business. They feel like something is missing and they're not sure what it is. Some women are living a good life and they've reached a level of success in their personal life and career, yet they know they want to do more and they feel stuck. That's their words. Some women aren't able to get to that level of success in their personal lives and career, and they're having difficulty in relationships and they're not sure why. So, what keeps us feeling stuck and unable to move forward are hidden beliefs and patterns. We don't realize how big and small hurts that are not acknowledged and integrated become bigger and turn into resentments and grievances. Then comes the guilt, which Cherish talked about, which is feeling bad for something we have done or didn't do, or shame, which is who we think we are because of what we did or didn't do. Now, all of this builds up like little dust bunnies and becomes heavier and heavier in our bodies. We can't just think our way through situations and problems. We need to be able to feel the feelings in a safe way that we were never taught, right? Who was taught to feel your feelings and acknowledge them and integrate them? We weren't taught to love and accept ourselves with all the scars and all the wounds and the magnificence that we are. And that's what forgiveness can bring you, acceptance of all of you. So I had worked many years in corporate, and after 28 years, I finally got my dream job, or what I thought it was, as an executive assistant to the vice president of a very large national corporation, and felt that I could finally make a difference. I had professional goals that I'm sure are similar to yours, like trying to balance work and personal life and feel good about doing a great job, valuing yourself and your colleagues and this fabulous company you work for, along with feeling supported that you could advance in your career. But sometimes we have obstacles that get in the way of reaching our goals, like feeling frustrated with situations at home and work because we bring our dynamics of home to work and vice versa. We don't know where to begin to feel better about ourselves. You may be feeling that you can't do enough or work hard enough to reach your goals. finding yourself comparing yourself to others. And usually we are comparing our inner world to their outer world, which causes self-doubt. And we end up saying, I'm sorry, or apologizing for who we are and our ideas and our thoughts, when an apology is not warranted. Do you ever do that? Catch yourself apologizing when it's not warranted? Yeah, you can write a yes or no in the chat if you can relate to that. Or am I by myself? Am I the only one that apologizes when not warranted? Oh, good. Thank goodness. Thank you. Thank you. Yep, we got a few. Yes, thank you. I'm in the right place then. I appreciate that so much. Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about why we do that and how we can stop doing that. Now, I just mentioned some obstacles that get in the way of our goals. So, what are some of the obstacles you are facing in reaching your personal or professional goals? Now, what I'd like you to do is write them on the worksheet provided. Now, this is question number 2, because I actually switched the first 2 questions in the order, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Okay. So, what I'd like you to do is write down question number 2. What are some of the obstacles you feel you are facing in reaching any personal or professional goals? And if you feel comfortable, you can write those in the chat or a generic version of it. Because when we share, it helps us and others to know they are not alone. And it's okay if you don't want to write them in the chat. It's really more important that you write them on the worksheet yourself. Self-care, yes. Anxiety and a rejection. Time restrictions, yes, definitely. And we have a strange relationship with time, don't we? Yes, I can so relate. Fear, not enough time. Fear of failure and not being enough. That is huge. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. Now, these obstacles that you mentioned here, not enough time and the fear of rejection and fear itself and anxiety, self-doubt. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tracy. These obstacles get in the way of us moving forward. But here's the thing, there's something else bigger that keeps us stuck. Now, when I was in corporate, it was great until it wasn't. I had that dream job, yet what happened was that I was feeling and being told that I couldn't do anything right. I was being compared with a prior assistant continuously. Now, the VP hired me himself and he agreed I had extraordinary credentials. Yet what I found myself doing was working harder and harder, trying to prove myself. And it ended up affecting me physically, and I started to get sick. So much so that I ended up with a back fusion, a neck fusion, was an adrenal fatigue, and I got a brain tumor. Now, as you can imagine, this was affecting me not only at work, but also at home, because how we do anything is how we do everything. I felt I was going crazy because the way I was being treated felt familiar, yet I couldn't quite place it. The good thing about this is it led me to seeking out a therapist who right away after hearing my story knew what it was. She said, "Oh, well, that's easy. Your boss is just like your ex-husband and your other ex-husband and your other ex-husband." So I've had a few ex-husbands. I'm an expert in relationships now. She said, "It's just a pattern. Now we just need to find the root of it." Oh my gosh, was it a relief the way she talked about it? Oh, it's just a pattern. Yet I'm totally in the middle of the feelings and proving myself, so it did not feel easy to me. Yet I felt relief because a part of me knew I could trust her. Now, do you know that feeling of relief or being able to feel or think that you can trust someone, that someone is in your corner? You can write a yes or no in the chat because it's important to acknowledge. Some of us may not know that feeling of relief. Great. Yes. This is great. Yes. Oh, good. Yeah, it's important to have that feeling. So important. Now, after prying my fingers off this job to take a medical leave for that back fusion and neck fusion, I say prying my fingers off because it was my identity and it was how I was proving that I mattered in the world, which was a hidden pattern. That's when I stumbled on the forgiveness work, which totally changed my life. And I don't say that lightly. It was the forgiveness mentor that actually helped me to get to the root of that pattern. She found a pattern of 5 in my life. See, my dad left when I was 5, very traumatic for my younger self. And then my first marriage was 5 years, my second was 5.5 years, and my third was 10 years. My first job was 10 years, my second job was 20 years. This is called a number pattern, and it's amazing to discover. And you can look back in your life as far back as you can go and see what kind of number pattern you might have. Now, finding the root and then doing the forgiveness work around it shifted my perception around this pattern so that I could show up authentically without having to prove myself to the world or anyone in my life. It helped me know that I was enough and I apologize unless I did something worth apologizing for. That's the key. Over the past decade, I've helped hundreds of people through this forgiveness process in group programs and private coaching to do the same thing. Now, can you relate to my story or have experienced something similar, trying to prove yourself, not felt good enough, noticing any kind of health issues? It may not be the exact same thing, but maybe you can relate to it. Great. Yes, thank you. It's very relatable. So, in my own story and working with my clients, I've come to realize there's a bigger issue at play. There's hidden beliefs and patterns that I mentioned earlier. They guide how we do everything and they can keep us stuck personally and professionally. The hidden beliefs and patterns usually hold the shame and the guilt, like Cherish talked about, which leads to resentment, which ends up keeping us feeling stuck and unable to move forward. So, how can we avoid letting those hidden beliefs and patterns keep us stuck and then make our goals feel impossible to reach? Today, I'm going to share with you a framework that helps you see that you are able to evolve and get unstuck to reach those goals. I use the acronym ABLE, which stands for A Path to Unity, Building Resistance, Resiliency, Letting Go of Resentment, and Embracing Change. So it starts with a path to unity because we want to keep the end in mind, our bigger goal. This is where, when we are able to forgive ourselves, we can then create a forgiving world because we matter. Each one of us and what we do matters. Forgiveness is a bridge to building stronger, more harmonious relationships where we feel connected and confident in our own skin. Through forgiveness, we find supportive personal relationships and elevated work relationships by setting boundaries, listening, and being heard. And we can do this because of working through those hidden beliefs and patterns. Forgiveness helps us find out what is blocking our path. Now, this is a different way of looking at forgiveness than we are used to. See, it's not apologizing for who you are. It's not saying, I'm sorry. This is about you and moving your path forward. Because when we look at forgiving ourselves, it is about letting ourselves off the hook for holding ourselves back and playing small. Playing small is minimizing ourselves and our ideas by apologizing, saying I'm sorry when an apology is not warranted, and then not being able to take up space. And ladies, not believing in ourselves. We as women do this in large part because it's a cultural norm. So we learn to forgive ourselves and move forward more empowered, which then creates that ripple effect to those around us. Does this idea of forgiveness resonate or ring true for you? Would you write on question number 1, what resonated about this idea of forgiveness? And if it didn't resonate, what questions do you have? So that would be question number 1. And then you can also write it in the chat, like yes or no. So in that description of forgiveness, being connected to ourselves, and moving a path forward, looking at what's blocking us. See, it's making it about us. It doesn't mean that it doesn't involve other people, because we're going to talk about that in a minute. So if you want to write anything in the chat, if you want to share yes or no in the chat, that'd be great. Or if you have any questions about it, this is a good time. Write it down, or you can put it in the chat and Tiffany will capture that for us. And I'll give you a minute on that, just to capture any ideas or thoughts that you have. Everybody good to move on? Or you need a little more time? Okay. So B in the ABLE framework is building resilience. Forgiveness strengthens emotional resilience and ability to cope with adversity. Now, the way that we do this is by using life as a mirror. So this is how it involves other people. When we are able to see what irritates us in other people, that can be a clue for what we have going on inside of us. It's a reflection of those hidden beliefs and patterns that we talked about earlier. Once we can see what is going on inside of us through that outer reflection, we can then take steps in healing those beliefs and patterns. What this allows for us is to know our triggers better, have a way to diffuse the trigger, and actually clear it, which provides the resiliency to weather any storm that comes our way. I think you can agree with me that there's a lot going on in the world and it affects everyone differently. But the more we can create inner resilience for ourselves, the better chance we have to be examples for those around us and have greater impact outside of us. Now, we can use family as an example of emotional resiliency. We just had Thanksgiving and we have Christmas coming up. Family is our number one trigger, along with our partners and kids, and there's a reason for it. They help us in identifying those areas that need more support and work on ourselves. When we identify and then take the steps in the forgiveness process I teach, it helps to build that resilience so you can stand firmer for yourself, whether it's with your family, friends, or in your career. So how many of you had a wonderful gathering for Thanksgiving? Was it with family? Were there any arguments? Was it good or challenging? How did you feel you handled the situation? Did you come out unscathed? A lot of my clients did not. So write your answer on the worksheet. This is question number 3. And then write down good or challenging in the chat. And let's see, like, how many of us came out unscathed and how many of us had a challenging one? Because let's be honest, it can be challenging. Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. Challenging. Good. Oh, great. I know we're about half and half, Tiffany. Looks like maybe.
Yeah, it looks like we are a mix of both.
Yeah. Good for the first time. Oh, good. That's really good. I'm glad that it was good because a lot of times it is challenging. Now, I want to give you an example of building resilience. I have a client. Overall, I think it went well. Oh, this is good. I'm going to call her Joanne for this example. Joanne had separated from her husband because her husband seemed to always be siding with his family. She shared that the family would continuously belittle her, and it made her feel small. She lost her voice, and she felt like she couldn't stand up for herself. Anybody relate to that? Her husband did not stand up for her either. He just said, oh, that's just how they are. Have you guys heard this in the family? Don't let it bother you. And it didn't stop, even though she asked them to stop. This felt familiar as she had had this growing up. Now, when we started to work together and she was able to see the connections in her hidden beliefs and patterns from her childhood that was playing out for her in this family dynamic. And through the process of the mirror and the forgiveness work and the techniques she learned, she was able to gain more confidence in herself by connecting the dots to the pattern, clearing it, and then setting boundaries within herself first, and then outside of herself with that family. She shared that she gained the tools to adapt to difficult life and work situations and experiences. Now that's resilience. Now we are at the letter L in the ABLE framework, which is letting go of resentment. Okay, I know you guys probably don't have any resentment, except for those that were challenged at Thanksgiving. Okay, but I know I still do. I'm constantly doing my own work. Resentment can be defined as holding bitterness towards yourself, a situation, or other people. We all have them. We all have resentments. If someone says they don't, they're lying to you. It's part of our human nature and the hidden beliefs and patterns we all have. Our job is to not hold on to them, and I'm going to share why. Research shows that resentment comes with an identity. With our grudge intact, we know who we are. It's a person who was wronged, and there's power in that. With this comes a sense of solidness and purpose, and we feel a rightness and a strength that feeds our victim and our anger. Can you feel that? To let go of our grudges, we have to be willing to let go of that identity as the wronged one and all the rightness and strength. Thank you, Clara. All the rightness and strength and sympathy we are getting. We start to feel really heavy inside from the weight of this grudge. This grudge feels like a heavy boulder that is blocking the light of kindness from your heart. This boulder is between me and you. This boulder is between you and your job. This boulder is between you and life. It is all consuming because resentment can do that. It makes it hard to show up for ourselves in our personal life and our business life. Forgiveness can help to dissolve the boulder and release that tension you feel in your body. Because for me, forgiveness means to untie the knot. Can you feel that? How many of you feel tension in your body when you have been wronged or you feel like you've wronged someone? You can write a yes or no in the chat. It's a very visceral feeling, right? Yes. Thank you, Jessica. Tracy, yeah. All right. Yes. This is where untying the knot makes sense. You can feel it. Now, if you take a moment right now and you think about a situation or someone that you are feeling a grudge towards, where do you feel it in your body? Where do you hold your tension? Okay. Yes, forgetting is an issue, and we'll talk about that. Shoulders, headache, yes. Everywhere. Next, the heart. Yep. Very common. And forgiveness can help relieve you of that tension and any knots that you have. I'd like to tell you about Tammy. Tammy came to me, the gut. Yes, that's me too. Definitely gut person. Tammy came to me because she felt stuck in her career. She was having health issues that had shown up the prior 6 months, and some of the time she was even bedridden. The doctor couldn't find anything, and she was referred to me by a friend who had worked with me, and we started talking and connecting the dots for her. What was happening was that she was wanting to move up in her company, and yet as she got more accolades, her partner at home was making comments which made her feel guilty that she would be making more money than her partner was, and sarcastically would say she would be more important than her partner. She felt torn between her partner and wanting to move up and fulfill what she felt was her dream. She was feeling tension and pain in her body from the unspoken resentment that was building. This resentment started affecting her health just like it did mine. This was familiar to her as we started talking, as she experienced this in her own family. This is where we connected the dots. Where her mother, who was belittled by her father because her mother wanted to work, and it ended up her mom got very sick. My client had a hidden belief and pattern that she was like her mother. Through the forgiveness work, we were able to clear that belief and connect her back to her own heart and self. She was able to have clear communication with her partner without guilt and without holding herself back, which led to her being able to go for that promotion with her partner's support. Plus, her illness went away. Now, she was very happy and amazed, and you can imagine her doctor was very perplexed. But our emotional, the emotional energy that we hold affects us. So, question for you, is there something or someone you are holding resentment against or feel bitterness towards? Now, this is a worksheet on your worksheets, question number 4. And if you have someone or something, please write it down on your worksheet. And if you feel comfortable, you can write it in the chat. You don't have to put names because you can use an area like these that you see on the slide: family, intimate relationships, friends, job or business, and yourself. When we share, remember, it helps others to know they're not alone. So the important part, I would really like you to put it down on the worksheet, because this is getting it out of our bodies, all of the above. Thank you, Polly. When we can claim it, when we name it and claim it, it starts to work. Yes, unfortunately. Yeah, Jessica. I understand. So make sure that you have it written down for yourself. Yeah. All of the above. Yeah, it's powerful. All of the above. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you so much for the courage and the vulnerability to share with us. That means a lot. All of the above. Yeah, we carry a heavy load, don't we? Same, all of the above. There's a lot of all of the above. Yes, we want to get you some relief. So now we're on that last letter of the ABLE framework. E is embracing change, which is exploring the concept of forgiveness and how it can provide a process for redefining your stories. When we can redefine stories and shift perception around them, we can see then we can see some situations that are happening for us and not to us. It's a big leap, but it can be done. We can minimize the pain associated with that story. We can relieve ourselves from that heaviness that we carry. The forgiveness process it helps us to interrupt this pattern that is playing subconsciously, so that we can become willing to look at our stories differently. And the key word in forgiveness is willing, because my clients will always say to me, okay, Brenda always tells me, be willing to be willing to be willing sometimes, because it's a leap of faith. It's a leap of courage to be able to do this work, but it is so rewarding. Because then what that does is help us shift our perception around that story and take the pain out of it, right? Relieving ourselves of the burden of resentment, shame, and guilt. Now, I have another story for you, because I think it's important to share stories to understand kind of how it might affect you. Becky had an aging mother who was not treating her very kindly. She and her sister were doing all they could to make her life better, yet she wasn't appreciating it at all, and she was downright mean to them. Her mom was so dismissive, which wasn't unfamiliar to Becky at all, because she had been unappreciated by her mother most of her life. What Becky wasn't ready for, though, was her sister to start treating her meanly, as Becky started to express to her sister what she felt should be done for their mother's care. Becky felt so much shame and guilt, which again was not unfamiliar. She realized she had that feeling most of her life, especially when expressing something she felt was important or something that she needed. She had always felt she wasn't worthy of being heard. And that was a hidden pattern and belief that she didn't know until we started working together. This was affecting her job because she was having trouble showing up completely. She was very distraught, as you can imagine, because we can't shut off our personal and our business lives because they intersect. Working together, we were able to uncover where she was not trusting herself in her life and how she had catered to everyone growing up to keep the peace, which was a hidden pattern that was being shown to her in this dynamic. How many of you can relate to that? Being the one to keep the peace, not cause waves. Becky was able to shift her perception around her story with her mom and sister. Thank you, Clara. Yes, thank you. For sure. Yeah, Jessica, for sure. See, I'm in the right group. I'm not alone in this. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. She was able to shift this story around her mom and her sisters, which helped her gain the confidence to set boundaries and express what she felt was most important without guilt and without feeling shame. Can you imagine? It was a life-changing experience for her. She became unapologetic for her needs, wants, and desires in a very caring way for herself, which was new to her. It shifted her relationship with herself, her family, and her job. Now, I have a question for you. Do you have a story that you would like to redefine? Could be a personal one or professional. Who does it involve and what does it entail? If you do, would you just write yes in the chat? And thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Pauline. Thank you. Oh, we got a lot. Yep, we do. So we got some stories we got some work to do here. Thank you so much. On your worksheet on question number 5, would you write down a brief explanation of that story that you would like to redefine? We're going to take a moment here because we've had a lot of yeses, and I would like you to get this out on paper. It's not something you need to share with us. It's something that this is for you. Write down who it involves and a brief description of what it entails. How you feel you've been hurt or wronged, or maybe it's with yourself. Because we are the ones that we are so hard on ourselves. Thank you, Mindy. I want to give you a little bit more time to just jot down some notes. Because this is going to be, I'll do a spoiler alert. This is part of your homework. So imagine if you were able to reach your personal and professional goals because you had a path to unity, because you matter in the bigger picture. You do, you matter. You've built resilience through forgiveness, feeling confident and clear. You've let go of resentments, feeling relief from the bitterness you carry. And you have embraced change, which is redefining those stories. And imagine if you could show up as your full self, taking up more space because you're worthy of it, not saying I'm sorry so much unless it's warranted, and use that strength and resilience to move forward personally and professionally. Just imagine. Now, I have a question for you. What would that change for you? Take a moment and think about it. How would you feel, act, or speak differently? If you'd like to share in the chat, you can. I would like you to write it on the worksheet, question number 6. How would you feel, act, speak? How would you be different if you released the weight of all of that? If you could show up as you, or even discover, because some of us don't even know who am I really because we've worn so many masks. We don't even know really who we are at the core. And that's what forgiveness has helped me find, who I am at the core. Because it's okay to take up space and have a voice. And remember that everything I'm sharing here, forgiveness is a practice and a process. It's not a one and done deal. I just want to be happy inside. Yes, and not just put on a smile. Thank you. More confident, relaxed, more positive mood. Yes. Yes, I can relate to not just putting on the smile. That's those masks, right? Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. That takes courage. I appreciate that. So, more confident. I'm with you. That was my number one thing, was looking for more confidence to be who I am. Positive and encouraging. Oh, yes, confidence, my opinion, and life matters. Yes, Cherish. Catherine, more confident, happier, less stressed. Ah, I can feel all of those. Thank you. So as we get closer, lighter, that is one of the number one things I hear from women that work with me. I want to feel lighter and freer and more confident. So thank you. As we conclude our time together, I have a couple steps for you before we get to Q&A. And the first thing I want you to do today is take time with those questions on the worksheet, because what they are meant to do is to create awareness of where you are feeling stuck and what may be the reason for it. It's hidden in that story and the mirror. Keep in mind that we can't change what we don't know is there. That's why awareness is key. The second step is I would like you to look back at your story that you want to redefine, what we just wrote. How can you redefine it now? Now, this step can be harder to do on your own, but don't worry. If you need help with this, I have something that can help you. I happen to have a free masterclass coming up this Saturday, December 16th at 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 Eastern. It's called Resentment-Free Success, a 3-step guide for women in business. It will be about an hour and 15 minutes long, where you will learn an actual process for working through resentments you have that are blocking you personally and professionally. You will be able to align with a way to redefine your story, and you will walk away feeling more empowered and confident in taking the next steps in your life and career. Now, the link to it is listed here, the short link, but it's also embedded in the digital copy of the worksheet. If you click on the masterclass information at the bottom of the page, it'll take you right to the link. And there's also, if you want to do it now, there is a QR code on the screen or on the slides, as you'll get them, as Cherish said, that you'll have, those will be available to you. And I'd like to, thank you. Thanks, Tiffany. Tiffany just put it in the chat. See, that's why I have her here. It's just, we need help. We need someone in our corner. I love it. Oh, thank you, Christina. Yeah, it's a fabulous masterclass. And okay, I'd like to leave you with a quote. Forgiveness is powerful. What it does is free you from the shame, guilt, and pain you carry so that you can then create the life that you desire. And when you do that, it ripples out all around you. Because when we forgive ourselves, we do create a forgiving world. Because we matter. It starts with us. And I want to thank you for having me today. Okay, and I will stop sharing now. Cherish, is that good?
That's perfect. Thank you so, so much. Definitely, if there's any questions, please put them in the chat, or just raise your hand to speak. One thing, Brenda, if someone isn't able, let's say, to attend the class, like you had said, you kind of gave some steps, like how would you, what can we share resources to, or things like that, to help people kind of walk through these steps? Like, what would you recommend for those who maybe can't take this next step?
So on the masterclass, it will be recorded. So if they sign up for it, they can get a copy of that. And also reach out to me. The steps we can get, it's good to take the class because I explain it better than to just give you a list. But yeah, the masterclass, I have quite a few people that aren't able to come live, so they get the recording of it, which has helped them immensely because we walk through the steps. You do the work right there in the masterclass.
That's great. That's great.
Thank you, Cherish. That's a great question. Is there any question about what we talked about today, about the framework, or does anybody want to know a little bit more about the mirror? What would you like? Does anything pop up for anybody? I know this is a sensitive subject, so I always am, I'm sensitive to that because forgiveness is very intimate, and I don't take it like them. And, on a lot of especially the parents, families, spouse I work on every day. And the kids, I've had a tough, one of my daughters has been a challenge. and had to put her through rehab and different things. So there are challenges as parents, as people. And what I can do is I'll give you a little bit of an exercise. The books are on Amazon, Christina. So if you look at Forgive Yourself and a journey to your heart space, and if you just look up Brenda Reese, they'll pop up for you. So thank you for asking.
I can make sure too, we put them on our Revolution 411, the ERG site. We'll make sure to put any of those resources there too.
Oh, great. And I'll let you guys let you in on a little secret. There's an exercise that you can do for the mirror to find out what your hidden beliefs and patterns are. And what it is you take someone that you're irritated with. Now, I know you probably have at least one person that kind of irritates you or frustrates you. Oh, thank you for putting those in the chat. Thank you, Tiffany. So what you do, you take a piece of paper, you think about this person, okay? Yes, you will receive a link for Saturday. Yes, signing up for the masterclass, you will get a link, which gives you the Zoom. It gives you all the details. So yes, you will. Think about this person, okay? And then you're going to write down 5 to 10 things that you don't like about them. It's okay, because this is important. You're doing it for a reason. Because some of us go, "Ooh, I don't want to be a bad person." That's what gets us in trouble. Is that? So think of somebody that irritates you. Write down. So is it that they're dismissive? They're mean? Is it that they don't listen to you? Is it that they're constantly pressing your boundaries? Think of that. Think about this, write it down. And then I want you to do a very important thing. And that is to turn the mirror back onto you. Now, it's not an exact mirror. It doesn't mean you're a mean person, because some people can be very narcissistic. They can, we got people in our lives that are mean. What we can do is we look at ourselves first and we go, where am I being mean to myself? What is my self-talk? How am I showing up for myself? Right? Where I'm not being heard. Oh, am I listening to me? Because we all have that little inner voice, don't we? Let's do this. Ooh, I can't say anything. We don't show up for a promotion because, ooh, this person has more credentials than me. I'm not enough. Sometimes that can get in our way. Dating, relationships. I've had so many different examples of how we don't listen to ourselves. We dismiss ourselves. If someone's dismissive, where am I dismissing me? Because one of my clients, like I said, she was not being heard, and she had that all of her life because she didn't believe she had anything worthy to say. Maybe you can relate. I could. I was keeping myself small. So it's a beautiful exercise, and it's not to beat yourself up. Please don't beat yourself up. Take this information and go, oh, this is something I can work on. And then we work through the steps. And I teach a fabulous 5-step process called Radical Forgiveness. There's a book out there that you can get by Colin Tipping through Amazon. And it's really good. Thank you, Pauline. Yeah. So is there any other questions or anything I can answer? You are a quiet bunch. And
Well,
that's
Brenda,
okay. I
we
understand.
really appreciate this. No, and thank you everyone for being so open in the chat and being willing to share so much. Thank you, Brenda, for the opportunity for the free class too. And Clara has a question.
Yeah, Clara.
Brenda, thank you. This was great. My question is, what do you suggest that we say instead of "I'm sorry"?
So what we end up doing is we say, I'm so glad you asked that, because how many times grocery store, oh, I'm sorry. You're walking by somebody, sorry. Or we do this in a meeting. Oh, sorry, but I want to say, okay, so instead, the empowerment that you want to have is, excuse me. Excuse me. If you're passing someone, excuse me. If you want to say something, excuse me, I have something I'd like to share. Or pardon me. Some people who want to be a little bit more formal, Clara, can say pardon me. But excuse me is powerful because it doesn't, you're not blaming yourself, right? Sorry is kind of like, sorry, we're doing this in a way, we're diminishing ourselves. Where excuse me, you notice I can stand up taller. Just practicing that has been amazing. And you have to
Thank you.
practice it. Thank you for asking, Clara. I appreciate it. And thank you for being here. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much to all of you for your courage and your vulnerability. I thank you so much for being here. And let me know, reach out to me. You have my information if there's anything I can do. And I look forward to seeing some of you on the masterclass, or at least getting you the information for the masterclass, because I think you're going to find it really helpful to relieve this heaviness that you're feeling.
Thank you, Brenda, so much, and Tiffany for helping. We so appreciate that. And again, like she said, please reach out. We'll make sure you have the
Yes.
links that were shared today, and they're on that paper as well for the free class on Saturday. And again, if you can't make it, you can still sign up and get the recording, so you can watch it when it works better for you. So
Absolutely. Oh, thank you, Kathleen. I love the little hand. Thank you. Thank you so much, Cherish. I'm so glad you found me. Thank you, Clara.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
happy holidays, everyone. Please be safe, and so
Yes.
glad you're here.
Yes.
And thank you so much. Take care.
Thank
you,
you.
Brenda. Bye.
Take care.
So
Bye.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.